What's up, good people, and welcome to another episode of Keep It Thorough, where we give you the real behind business, health, money, and self development, and introduce engaging concepts to help you perform better in all areas of life. I'm your host, Cedric Lavelle, joined by my counterpart, E Double.
E-double.
I like to
Back at
have
y'all.
put sound effects on your names, bro. E Double, double.
E-double.
I don't know.
Double.
I feel like it heightens it. Anyway,
Like a
go
little
ahead.
echo. But hey, y'all, we back at y'all this week. Episode 84. The title of this episode is Self-Mastery, the Path Towards a Great Power. So we're going to just, it's self-development episode and the power of really empowering yourself and mindset and perspective and all those great things. And as always, be sure to follow us on all the social media platforms. Not gonna name them. We're gonna stop naming them. Just all of them. All of them.
All of them.
Watch, listen.
Like, share,
the other?
comment, repost.
Yeah, all that good stuff. But
all that
without further
ABCD.
ado, we
Oh, and
go
the
ahead
kits. Yep.
Oh
Check out
yeah, I
that
forgot about the kit. So
corresponding
yeah,
kit.
there's a kit that corresponds to every episode. We're very, very passionate and excited about these kits. It was a process to get them to where they are now, and they're easily digestible, right? Very, very quick reads, but very informative and efficient. We love to keep it thorough. You know what I'm talking about? But yeah, so
Every,
be sure
every
to
sense of the word.
be sure to correspond to watch or pull up or view the kit that corresponds to this episode. And again, you can find those at keepitthorough.com/kits.
There it is.
But yeah, so with all that being said, let's go and kick this thing off, Sid.
Yeah, man. So self mastery, man. Something. It's a word. I actually kind of like that word, mastery of yourself.
Which I really honestly don't like the word master. I don't like the word master or expert or none of that. But in the context of which we're talking about it here, I think it's applicable.
Yeah.
Is it applicable or
Applicable?
Is it applicable or applicable?
I don't know, cause I ask my wife all the time, is it applicable or applicable? I don't know. Tomato.
So I say applicable. So I'm gonna rock with that one. It's applicable.
I say applicable.
So
I don't know who's right and who's wrong.
Tomato.
Hey, it is.
Even
what
though
it
don't
is.
nobody say tomato, but
I've heard some people say tomato.
oh word.
No, not really. I'm lying. I don't think I have either.
I ain't never heard nobody say that. So I don't even know how that's a saying, but cool.
Yeah, however they got to work. But no, man, when it comes to self-mastery, I truly believe that we can obtain true mastery when we are able to conquer our inner battles, transcend limitations, and just nurture the strength that we possess to shape our own destiny. And I believe that it doesn't matter, what people might have done to you in your past. It doesn't matter what your past might have been, nor does it really matter what problems that you face. I believe that we all have the power to master self. And when we believe that we have the power or can empower ourselves to master our beliefs, our actions, our intentions, our emotions, just really being able to control that aspect of ourselves, I believe that can move us into a direction where we can change our world, we can change our future, and we can really just change the direction of our life into a path that really serves what we ultimately desire. And I think it's important to understand that, we have the power to do that. We possess that inner power. We have the ability to master all the intricate parts of our lives and the things that shape us if we really decide to invest into that process, into that development, into that transformation. And when we believe that we can and we're capable and we take the massive actions to do it, I believe it changes our world. It changes everything around us. It changes our perspective, how we see things, how we view things, the people that we hang around, the things that we tolerate, the things that we don't tolerate. All of that begins to change. And no matter what the problem is, no matter what your past is, no matter what people might have said to you that you agree with or that you don't agree with, you don't have to accept it. You don't have to allow that to dictate and define who you are and who you want to be. But when you really embrace self mastery, you can really just define your own destiny and move in a way where you know that you're progressing towards better and progressing towards a direction that serves you well.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. And I think you touched on something very important that deals with, the way we look at things, right? And that's heavily influenced by our experience in our past. And one way to look at the barriers or the what's the way I could say this, the challenges, is to view them as like giants, right?
Yeah.
So all of these challenges and difficulties are like giants that you have to overcome, right? So to speak on what you mentioned about our past. So, like, throughout our lives, we're shaped by various internal and external factors, right? So, these things are our upbringing, education, our different experiences, our emotions, fears, feelings. And these factors influence our thoughts, our beliefs, our actions, and often define who we become. And a lot of us just accept things as the gospel, right? Because that's the
Right.
way mom did it, dad did it, grandma did it. I might not even feel the greatest about it, but
Hey,
well, I'm gonna
say
just do it.
grandma again, bro.
Grandma,
Okay.
grandma. I
Thanks
said
to
grandma.
grandma.
Grandma. I
Grandma.
probably did because I do say it like that. Grandma. Just take the D out.
That's a
Grand. No,
minute.
no
That's
grand. It's just
no
grandma.
grand. Grandma.
Grandma. Yeah, but self mastery basically is a way of shaping your own destiny and becoming an active participant in the creation of our lives. So
That's
instead
big.
of just accepting the status quo, right, and just doing things because that's the way they've been done or the way you were taught, you begin to question things and master oneself and ask the questions like, well, is this beneficial to me? Is this beneficial to what I'm trying to accomplish? Is this beneficial to my family and my objectives, and all of those various different things, right? And each obstacle that you face or giant, right, to keep with the theme, is an obstacle. Each obstacle or giant is an opportunity for learning and experience and personal evolution. So breaking free from all of your comfort zones, it allows you to explore new directions and it helps us to achieve our life's desires, right? So a lot of times people feel like they're not worthy, like they want things that they feel like they're not worthy of, or
Yeah.
it's impossible, or there's no way, I'm going to be able to obtain that or do that or accomplish that. And we have to, one, you have to know that you're worthy, and you got to convince yourself consistently of that and feed those positive thoughts to your subconscious. But you got to challenge yourself and break out of the comfort zones. And when you do that, the more frequently you do that, the easier it becomes down the road. And then along that journey, right, that self mastery journey, we discover hidden strengths. We develop resilience. And then we cultivate that mindset that's needed to face those giants we was just talking about, right? So the more consistently you do anything, the better you're gonna be at it, right? I think Lil Wayne, right, of all people, to quote, repetition is the father of learning.
Yeah.
The more you do something over and over and over again, the better you're gonna become at it. The easier it's gonna be for you. The quicker you're gonna learn it. So facing the giants again, it's just view all of those obstacles, all of those limiting beliefs, all of those negative thoughts, whatever situation you may be in. Look at those as giants, right? And then be David.
Yeah. I was just
Like
gonna say that.
David had a little old what do they call him?
Slingshot,
Slingshot,
whatever.
right? He had a
Yeah.
little old slingshot and big old Goliath, right? And they thought David was crazy, but he had an unwavering belief in himself, right?
Yeah.
And even if you don't believe that story, what it represents is very valid,
Absolutely.
right? Like just having the unwavering belief in yourself that you can overcome whatever,
Yeah.
right? And here he was facing this giant, right? Or these challenges, and he was able to overcome them with the right
Right.
tool, right? So,
And I think it's important to recognize too that when you look at a giant and how big a giant is, and when you look at, not only was David small, a slingshot isn't very big. It's a small tool. But that goes to show that his belief in himself, in what he possessed, was more than enough to take down a giant. And like you said, bro, like we can face all of our challenges the same way. We just have to have a good amount of belief, right? The situation may be bad, things may not be looking good, challenging, it's difficult, it's hard. But when it comes to mastery, you really take on the mindset of it doesn't matter what I have. I know that everything I have is everything that I need. And I can face this challenge and face this moment of adversity with a level of certainty because I know the inner power that I have. And I know the transition and the transformation that I'm going to and I'm going through. And what's also beneficial in that aspect is really just having a starting point, knowing how to even start to move in that direction where you have that mindset and when you have that belief about yourself. And one thing that you can really focus on is self-awareness, being aware of self. And that's like the foundation of self-mastery. And it's about understanding who we are, what our values are, what our weaknesses are, what our areas of strength are. And when we gain that insight about ourselves, we can make conscious choices and deliberate actions that align with our true selves and who we really ultimately want to be. In addition to that, continuous learning, right? And so one of the key things when it comes to mastery is just having a thirst for knowledge, wanting to know more, wanting to really absorb as much information as you can and make a commitment to lifelong learning. We've said this a lot of times in our episodes as well too. School doesn't stop when you graduate, right? You know what I'm saying? Like you have to be a lifelong learner. The most successful people in the world are lifelong learners.
I actually was just having a conversation with my wife about our
Yeah,
kids, right? And I said to her that the kids' school is supplemental education,
absolutely.
right?
Yeah,
Like that's how I look at it. It's not the school's responsibility to teach my kids stuff. That's
nah,
my responsibility. Now they can, I don't know, bring something or some ideas that I might not have thought about or causes my kids to question or ask certain questions that I might not have thought about. But at the end of the day, it's my responsibility to teach my kids. And I feel that same way about myself, right? So like elementary, middle school, high school, that should be like supplemental income because just think about it. You're in school from what? I don't know, 6 until 18, unless you
18
go
or
to
so.
college,
Yeah,
right? And then if you go to college, say you do 4 years, so you're in school from 6 to 22, right? So let's just say you go another 4 years, you're going to be a doctor. So from 6 to 26, that's 20 years. Say you live to be 80, right?
yeah,
That's a small portion of your life. So you just stop learning.
right. Yeah,
You know what I mean? Those
yeah,
26 years you just done now. And that's if you go 4 years after college. You know what I mean? And
right.
most people don't go to college. So yeah, it's supplemental. You got to continue to
Supplemental.
educate yourself.
Got to, man, because life is continual. Life day by day, life goes on. Life is always changing. And in order to keep up with the times, you have to change. You have to grow. You have to learn. And so with growth, it's a continuous process, and it's going to require us to expand our knowledge, acquire new skills, and then just stay curious, right? And that's how you learn. That's how you grow. That's how you move into a direction of mastery because you're willingly learning and growing and embracing everything that life has to offer and absorbing it in a way where you're not just taking it for what it is, but you're really taking it to understand and have a better insight on what your life is about and what you want your life to become. And then the last thing is really just action and accountability, right? And so self mastery really requires taking action. It's not enough to have the knowledge. And I know E says this all the time. Don't be a professional know it all.
Yeah.
Like you can have all the information in the world, but if you're not acting on the information that you have,
Yeah, like how can you apply it? Knowing
it's
stuff just to know
pointless.
it without a use case is kind of pointless.
It's pointless, right? So you have to put
Unless you're
what
going
you
on
know.
Jeopardy.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. You know what I'm saying? At least be intentional in that aspect. But if you ain't on no game show, like you have to put what you know into action. We have to apply what we learn and consistently take steps towards our goals. However, action alone is not enough. There's more to action. We truly have to grow into a point where we hold ourselves accountable for those actions too. And even though we're making those action or even if we're not making the needed actions, you have to be accountable. And I think a lot of times in life, people kind of like shift the blame on other people or other situations, why they're not where they want to be in their lives. They don't take full accountability of their position. It's always somebody else's fault.
It's
It's
the easy,
always,
easy thing to do, right?
yeah, you shift and blame. Well, if such and such would have did this, I could have did this. Well, if this person would have did this in my life, then I can be this way. Or if this person would have showed me this, then I could have been this, that, and the other. No, we have to take accountability for where we are in life, embrace where we are in life, and make the necessary decisions to change where we are in life. Like, don't hold on to those things that other people did, but really look to move yourself forward. And that's the other aspect of self mastery.
No, definitely. So, starting point, and I talk about this all the time. The most important thing to anything is just to get started, right? So now, Sid just gave a lot of very good points. So now let's focus on that course of action, right? Like, what are some things that you can actually do? And as y'all aware, if y'all been following the podcast for any amount of time, we always like to kind of give like tangible things. Now, this is kind of more of a course of action, an outline, and Sid may be able to hit on a few more tangible things. We're sticking to the plan, but basically, so self mastery can be compared, right, to like a comprehensive school course or like, like a college course, or really you can even look at it as like, college in its entirety, right? And what does that demand? So it demands commitment and dedication. To be a student, a successful student requires a lot of commitment and dedication. A lot of long nights, a lot of early mornings, and a lot of sacrifice, right? Instead of you being able to go out to that party with your homeboys, you might have to stay in and study that night, right? But it requires a lot of commitment and dedication, right? And self-mastery requires those same things. So just like a student will progress through lessons, assignments, tests, assessments, to grasp, concepts and complexities. When mastering oneself, it involves a journey of continued growth and introspection, right? So like you got to continue to challenge yourself, which will lead to growth, and then you need to be able to look within yourself and see like where you can improve, where you're doing well, and so on and so forth. And in both cases, relating to self mastery or a school course, a clear understanding of objectives and strategic planning are essential, right? So you need to know what you're working for. When you go to school, you may not initially know what your major is, but they're pressing you to figure that out while you're taking your generals, right? But your essentially your degree, right, or whatever you're going to school for, that's like your objective, right? That's your point of focus and kind of like your specialty, so to speak. And then you're gonna take some planning and some strategic planning, like and some of that's done for you, right? So like schools typically, if you're going for a certain major, before you can take more advanced classes related to that major, there's a bunch of prerequisites, right?
Right.
Like you got to take this class, and the information and foundational knowledge you learn in those courses allows you to be able to do well and bring that knowledge into the higher up class, right? The more specialized class, right? And life works the exact same way. Only difference is it's not done for you, right? So you got to experience this, and this before you can actually grasp this or understand this, right? So the parallels between mastering a course and mastering oneself underscores the importance of discipline, which I just talked about, or disciplined effort, which we just talked about, perseverance, and I can't talk today. I can't say the word transformative. There we go, transformative. I cannot say the word. And the transformative power of knowledge and self-awareness, right? And it's through this process of these actions that we can begin to move towards being masters. So, discipline, effort, perseverance, transformative power, and discipline. I already said it, but I got to say it a lot because it requires a lot of discipline, right?
Discipline is, whoo, that's a big one.
So get started, right? And then you kind of know what it takes, discipline, perseverance, and then understanding how impactful knowledge and self-awareness can be, right? Like knowledge is power. Yeah. Like knowing things, the more you know, the more you grow. Like it makes you more confident. It allows you to be more level-headed. Like when when you feel like you've kind of seen it before, like it's not a shock. You know, it doesn't give you the same butterflies or nervousness because it's something you've already dealt with before, right? And you know, one way to obtain knowledge is by research and reading, you know, school, things like that. But another way to receive knowledge is through experience,
Yeah.
right? By going through things and actually experiencing them, right? And in most cases, to be honest with you, the knowledge you gain through experience is typically a little better than the knowledge you experience through just pure like education, right? Like reading and stuff, right? Because you can read something a million times and you may think you got it, but then when you're presented with the problem, it may not present itself exactly how it was in that book, and then it may be hard, you know, to know,
navigate
you know,
through.
what to do, right? But if you
Yeah.
experience it in real life, there's a lot of different variables, so you can it's a little easier to adjust and compensate for it.
Yeah. That's
But course of
big.
action.
And that's similar to like when you like when you're hiring. My wife works in HR, and what I see a lot of times when you're hiring, sometimes you hire people that have experience, that have worked within the profession, or within that role that you're looking to hire for. And sometimes you look at people who have the education, right?
Yeah.
And who may have went to a certain school. And I always believe this, and it just depends on the role and what you're hiring for. And this is not a business episode by any means, but you know, a lot of times we look at people that have an extensive amount of experience opposed to the education. You you can believe that that individual knows how to navigate and operate in certain things. It's like I need somebody who I can plug and play immediately, who understands.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
opposed to someone who's read a book, or went through this structured education, who may not know all the intricacies and all the challenges that may come with this particular role, right? And all of them are both are good things to have, whether it's the education or the actual experience.
The best is really to have both,
Yeah, absolutely.
right?
Yeah, having both.
And then I think who the employer is looking for is going to be what their objective is. So
Absolutely.
for instance, you know, if you're a new up and coming software development company and you know you want some fresh new talent, new perspective, you may look for the fresh college graduate because you know you can shape and mold them to, you know, to fit your company's culture and you know all those various different things. But if you are an already established company and you have more legacy applications and technologies, you may have to go find somebody with just a lot of experience and said, you know, like C++, which is a programming language that's kind of going away now. You know, C# replaced it, but you may try to go find somebody that has just a lot of experience with C++ because you need their knowledge and their experience, you know, with working with that. So it just depends on the objectives of the company too.
Family.
No, it's all good.
Yeah, all that is correct. But through all of those things, one key aspect to all of it is being able to stick to the plan. You know what I'm saying? When you have your starting point, when you know the course of action that you're wanting to take, you have to be able to stick to the plan. You gotta be able to go through that process and not give up, and not find yourself in a situation where you feel like you're overwhelmed and it's too much. So one thing you want to do is just define your vision. What's your vision? Start by envisioning the person that you want to become, the life you want to live, and look to create that. Right? Set clear goals and align your actions with your vision. That's necessary. You have to do that. You have to align your actions with your vision, and that's going to keep you going. And when you have that source of motivation with that vision as well, that's also going to keep you going. So knowing your why, what's your reasoning behind wanting this life? What's your reasoning behind wanting to move in this direction? So those things are going to be very pivotal to your transformation. In addition to that, developing healthy habits, right? And those healthy habits can be through practices of meditation, exercising, journaling, nutritious foods, or even gratitude. And I know E is always big on gratitude, but you want to develop healthy habits within your routine because that's really going to shape your perspective and the direction that you move in as well. And we can't say it enough. You also want to seek knowledge. as much knowledge as you can. Learn as much as you can. Podcasts, workshops, books, interacting with different people, different platforms, like every aspect, everything that you can use as a resource to learn and to benefit and to help yourself, take advantage of it. And then in addition to that, just embrace failure and learn from it, right? There's going to be things that's going to happen where it's going to challenge you. You have to learn from those moments. Don't feel like you have to be defeated when things don't go right, but really look at those moments for what they are, and what they are is just opportunities. Obstacles is just opportunities to learn and to grow, right? And just reflect on your setbacks, extract the lessons, and use those things for fuel. That way that you can progress. And then lastly, you want to just surround yourself with growth oriented individuals. And I think that's a really, really key thing, right? So surround yourself with individuals who inspire you and challenge you to become better. Build a support system, build a team of people who really encourage you, who really uplift you, who really champion you in the things that you're doing. But also surround yourself with people who you respect, and respect in a way where you can take constructive criticism, or when someone calls you out about something in a very, you know, good way to help you be more accountable. You got to have those people around. You don't want to have a bunch of yes men around you, or people that's going to coddle you, or make you feel like, you know, everything is going to be okay and it's always going to
Yeah.
be peaches and cream, because that's not reality. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, definitely. So cool. So now we at the end, and we always kind of like to summarize the episode, right? So basically, through the pursuit of self mastery, we tap into the limitless potential of telling ourselves yes, which is very important, right? So we talked. I talked a little bit earlier about how some people feel they aren't worthy and tell themselves they don't deserve certain things. And when you walk, when you go through that pursuit of self mastery, you tap into your limitless potential, and then telling yourself like, yes, I'm worthy. I can do that. I can accomplish that. I can achieve that, which is very, very important, right? And then through the various challenges to our thoughts, beliefs, and actions, we're able to transcend the boundaries we impose on ourselves, and we embrace the extraordinary lives by telling ourselves yes, right? And those extraordinary lives and desires that we deserve, right? So, we can achieve and become whatever we want to become. It's just a matter of putting the proper work in. And it's very important for people to realize that you can
Yeah.
be whatever you want to be and do whatever you want to do. It just comes down to, do you want to put the work in? Are you going to put the
Yeah.
work in to achieve and become those things, right? And then the self mastery journey requires courage, resilience, and a commitment to growth. You got to be committed to yourself. Know you're going to deal with some difficulties. You're going to deal with some challenges. Get that thick skin. And know that you can bounce back regardless of whatever happens. Right? Like, be resilient. You can get back from this. Just think about this. Every challenging thing that you've been through in your life, you've got through. Think about
Still
that.
here.
Right? You're still here, and you may be going through a challenge right now, which makes it a little harder to see. But guess what? You're gonna get through it. And then
Absolutely.
finally, when we embrace challenges, we cultivate self-awareness and take consistent actions that propel us towards mastery. We can create a life where we boldly tell ourselves yes to every need, want, and desire. And that may sound kind of like, oh yeah, you can just do whatever. Like, it may kind of sound like cliche, but well, no, you have to have that sort of belief in yourself. Like, you have to. And that's why maybe some successful people, like if you talk to like an Elon Musk, which he's more of kind of like an outgoing type, he may sound full of himself, right? Like some successful people sound full of themselves just because they have a unweight, like, or Kanye West even, right? And I'm not even one to agree with Kanye West on a lot of different things, but that man has an unwavering belief in himself, and that's something that I can appreciate. You know what I mean? And so you have to have that sort of belief in yourself. You don't got to put it out into the world and tell everybody, but to yourself, and what you tell yourself is you have to tell yourself you're capable.
Absolutely.
So you got anything you wanted to add to that, Sid?
I do not, man. I think you summed it all up right there, bro.
Hey, well, as always, man, we greatly appreciate y'all, and y'all
Yes,
be
sir.
sure to tune in next week. Be able to check out the kid. And as always, if you don't do nothing else,
Yeah, yeah.
keep it
Keep it
thorough.
thorough.
And we'll holler at y'all next time. Deuces.